If Bakugou Katsuki was anything aside from the usual list of negative traits, people tried to stick onto him when they so clearly didn't know him. It was that one of his best traits was how highly motivated he was at whatever he decided to do or pursue. Sure, he had always been aiming to become the #1 hero and steal the show with his amazing abilities as a hero, but it wasn't like that was his only aspiration in life. In fact, Bakugou had plenty of interests outside of being the #1 ranked hero that he also strived to be the best in. He wanted to be a good cook, and he had yet to have a foul-tasting meal, or even one he didn't like, that was made by his hands. He always had a love of hiking and the outdoors. Thus, he always brought new hiking gear and would often use his vacation days to take you hiking and enjoy some good quality time together away from the usual city bustle. And if you were to get lost in the woods with anyone, you were glad it was with the expert hiker, Bakugou Katsuki. He was even good at little things that hardly anyone would notice, like how he had never once got in a cavity, how organized he was, that he was never once tardy during his years of school. But of course, as his significant other, and having had a crush on the hothead for longer than he cared to admit, you would often notice things that no one did, or keep in mind his little passing comments and brags. He was an incredible person, and at times, you often felt as if his greatness was only held back by him dating you. He was always off doing great things, like not only being a hero, but as a person in general. And you really couldn't find or understand what you did that made you stand out from anyone else. Your quirk was strong, yes, but an elemental manipulating quirk was so common, so you barely stood out among the others who could manipulate water. Another name in a system of heroes. We were all trying to get the lead over the other. It wasn't that you hadn't been trying either. You had just finished your 5th job interview this week, and like every other one this week, it ended with the same line. "Thank you for your time, but I think we'll be going in a different direction." Quick and to the point, and then a sullen demand to grab your things and leave as the board all looked at you with displeased faces. Your briefcase always felt heavy after each interview, as you placed all your hopes and dreams from within yourself back into that very same briefcase. After all, why did you need to have any of them anyway, when it was becoming more and more clear that you just weren't meant to have any? It was better to just separate them from who you were, so you didn't need to feel the crushing weight of reality every time. Your legs felt the desire to give out as you finally returned home. It was early, not even the early evening hours yet. Thus, Bakugou hadn't started his usual dinner preparations yet. Instead, he was lounging on the couch, watching the news, and seeming to just be wanting to pass the time. Hearing your footsteps enter, he muted the device and turned the head towards you. He knew of the rough time you had been having, but more so, he knew that he sucked when trying to say anything remotely nice or sensitive about things he knew could set you off into a downward emotional spiral. He didn't even need to say anything about it this time. He could just tell from how you looked at him with those sad and disappointed eyes of yours. "They didn't deserve you," he shrugged, trying not to make a big deal out of it, as he did 4 times before. "Bunch of suckers." You nodded slowly, not muttering a word yet. Instead, you started to put your stuff away. The sounds of the news talking about how the popularity of some new heroes has sparked hope. A familiar hero name reaching your ears from the news anchor. You winced, lip quivering. After all, the hardest part about dating Bakugou Katsuki was coming to realize that while he motivated you to try as hard as he did, his success was because he was naturally gifted, and with each passing day, You came to realize how you were not even a fraction as good or as lucky as he was. And that's what truly stung. How can you even look at me? You breathed out, knowing he was listening. I'm a failure. You don't, and shouldn't, deal with failures. You couldn't hold it back any longer, and started bawling from where you stood. The weight of your feelings of worthlessness, making it hard to swallow all the terrible things you were now saying to him, meant to be directed at you. Hey, he stood up, coming near you. Don't tell me who I should and shouldn't be around, or with. His rough fingers turned your head to him, your teary eyes meeting his intense but also worried calming ones. As gently as he could, he pushed you into his chest, the hand that had been used to get you to look at him, now running its fingers through your hair. You sniffled, crying harshly into his shoulder. He didn't say anything for a while, only letting you get this out of your system. He knew how hard you had been trying, and how you were the type of person to take rejection to heart, and only blame yourself. And these asshole agencies had laid it on, making you feel inadequate. If he wasn't a hero himself, it would get them to see they had made a mistake. I know it sucks right now. He breathed out slowly when the sounds of tears died down, but if it hasn't happened yet, it's not meant to. You'll find a place, and when you do, I'm sure you'll love it. You do know that, Katsuki? And you whined. What if I wasn't meant to be a hero? Bullshit. You cussed. You were meant to be a hero just as much you were meant to be with me. And don't take that as a reason why you shouldn't be with me either, you moron. He knew you too well, as he could call out your next put down before it was said. He cared for you a lot, to even say in his own way that he wanted to be with you no matter what. Since when did you become so observant? He chuckled, trying to turn the mood around now. Someone had to pull your dumb face out of the trenches of depression. You sighed. Might as well be me, since you keep me grounded. Which I still don't need you to. You laughed again, snarky comment coming out. Bakugou smirked, happy to see you slowly coming back to your usual self. It was rough to make her break out as a hero, more so to get employed, but he had this faith in you. And for you, so long as he loved you, and kept reminding you to not doubt yourself, or your relationship to him or anyone, things would work out. This was Bakugou after all, and he never wasted time on things he didn't think were worth pursuing.